The child disappeared in 1987. 2 days before he vanished, he drew a picture of a house. The problem was, that house didn't exist yet. It wouldn't be built for another 17 years. And when it finally was, it became mine. I worked as a police officer for 22 years. In that time, I opened hundreds of missing persons files. Some were solved, some were forgotten. Most ended the same way. A photograph, a name, a family waiting for a phone call that never came. Because the child inside that file had drawn a house that shouldn't have existed yet. And that house was mine. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. The station was quiet, not peaceful, just empty. The kind of silence that only exists after everyone else has gone home. I was sitting alone in the records department, digitizing old case files from the archives. A cardboard box had been sitting on my desk for nearly 3 weeks. Nobody wanted the assignment. Boxes like that were graveyards. Every folder inside represented a life that had simply stopped. A missing child, a missing husband, a missing daughter. Questions with no answers. I opened a file, entered the information, moved to the next one. Routine work, mechanical work, the kind of work you stop thinking about after 20 years. Then my hand stopped on a thin folder. Case file 1987-43. Missing child. Male, 7 years old. Date missing, October 17, 1987. At first glance, it looked completely ordinary. Just another forgotten case. I almost tossed it onto the completed pile. Then I noticed something folded near the back of the file. A piece of paper, old, yellowed, carefully preserved. Attached to it was a note. Drew this 2 days before disappearing. I unfolded it, and for a few seconds, I forgot to breathe. Because I recognized the house, the oak tree in the yard, the broken fence, the garage, the shape of the roof, the position of the driveway. Every detail was correct. It was my house. I stared at the drawing for nearly 10 minutes, trying to find a mistake, any mistake. There wasn't one. The problem was, my house wasn't built until 2004. The drawing was dated 1987, 17 years earlier. I checked the file again, then checked it a third time. The dates were correct. The drawing was real. The paper was old, much older than the house itself. I tried to come up with a logical explanation. Maybe the child had drawn a similar house. Maybe I was imagining the resemblance. Maybe exhaustion was playing tricks on me. But the more I looked, the worse it became. Because the house wasn't the part that bothered me most. The window was. There was someone standing in the upstairs bedroom window. The child had clearly focused on that figure. It was darker than everything else in the drawing. More deliberate, more detailed. I grabbed a magnifying glass, looked closer. The shoulders, the posture, the slight tilt of the head, and the left hand, buried inside a pocket. A habit I had carried since childhood. My heart started racing. Because the figure looked like me. I kept reading. A few pages later, I found a statement from the boy's teacher. Most of it was routine. Attendance records, behavior notes, nothing unusual. Then one line caught my attention. He had been drawing the same picture over and over again for weeks. I continued reading. When asked why he kept drawing the same house, he said that one day he would live there. I read that sentence again and again. One day I will live there. The words stayed with me long after I closed the file. I couldn't stop thinking about them. A 7-year-old child, drawing a house that wouldn't exist for another 17 years, claiming he would one day live there, and somehow drawing a man who looked exactly like me. The next afternoon, I drove to the wooded area where the child had disappeared. The original maps were still inside the file. Most of the landmarks were gone, roads had changed, buildings had appeared, but the forest remained. I spent hours walking through it. The deeper I went, the quieter it became. No traffic, no voices, just wind moving through the trees. At some point, I started feeling ridiculous. I was a police officer, not a ghost hunter. I was chasing a drawing made by a child almost 40 years ago. I turned around, started heading back. Then my foot struck something hidden beneath the dirt. Metal. I knelt down and brushed away the soil. A rusted box. Small enough to carry, old enough to have been there for decades. The lock had long since rotted away. I opened it. Inside were toys, a plastic car, a worn-out action figure, several folded drawings. My stomach tightened. Because every drawing showed the same thing, the same house, the same window, the same man, again and again, like an obsession. Then I reached the final drawing. This one was different. The man in the window wasn't alone. A small child stood beside him. Both of them were staring directly at me. At the bottom of the box was an old photograph, black and white, a boy, around 7 years old. I picked it up and stared at it for a long time, because I knew that face, the eyes, the nose, the shape of the jaw. It was the face I saw every morning in the mirror. That boy was me. I didn't go home that night. I returned to the station and pulled every record I could find. Adoption files, court records, birth records, anything connected to the case. The deeper I dug, the worse it became. Names didn't match. Dates didn't match. Pieces of my own history suddenly stopped making sense. By sunrise, I finally found the truth. The name I had been using my entire life wasn't the name I was born with. It matched the name of the missing child in case file 198743. The boy who had been missing for more than 30 years was me. I sat alone in the archive room for hours, not moving, not speaking, just staring at the file, trying to understand how a person could spend an entire lifetime searching for missing children, without realizing he had once been one of them. Eventually, I began putting the documents away. That's when a small piece of paper slipped from between the pages. An old teacher's note, yellowed with age, its corners worn and damaged, nearly overlooked, but still readable. It said, "The child claims he keeps seeing the same man." Below that was a question from the teacher, "Who is the man?" And beneath it, the child's answer, a single sentence. A sentence I will never forget. My older self. Case file 1987-43. Status: missing. Unsolved.